Welcome to the Supreme Talent Patreon. So, this first presentation that we're going to be doing here is actually the first part of a seven-part series. So, we're going to be diving more into sync placements for you guys. The whole purpose for this specific digital course will be to be able to introduce you all to the basics of sync placements and explain their significance in the music industry. So, as you guys know, for the Supreme Talent Patreon, our goal is to make sure that you guys understand that the music industry isn't just an industry, it's a music business. So if we want to understand the business side of the industry, we have to know about things like sync placements, which is very, very lucrative for the industry as a whole. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in to the introduction of sync placements. Like I said, this one is a first part of a seven-part series. So we're going to have six more of these, and we're talking about sync placement. So just giving you an overview, like we're going to dive into not only what sync placements are, but we're going to go take it a step further. So after you guys get the information, we're going to actually have you all submit sync placements. So the number one goal for this specific course is that you all will be able to submit music for sync placements, and you'll be able to receive the info and then apply it to your real life. So you guys are going to get templates, short guides, and one-on-one help. So like you're going to have email templates for you to be able to submit to music supervisors, guides on picking out what kind of songs you want to submit for the placement. And I'm going to be helping you all individually with actually submitting your content to the music supervisor. So as we're going to be walking through this, the number one goal is that we will be able to have you all actually submit music. So if you all have not yet seen, but on the Patreon, I do have available for you all is the ultimate guide for sync placement. So this is a contact list that has over 400 music supervisors, movie trailer houses, video game companies. So all of these people are looking for music to use with their visual media, and they're of course looking to pay for it. So this is going to be a good guide too. If you don't want to use this one specifically, I do also have a free guide available as well, where we will be able to go through and actually submit your music to all of the music supervisors on that list. So if you are in the Supreme Talent Patreon community, there is absolutely no reason why at the end of this we will not be submitting your music. Like the whole goal is for us to actually do the work, and I will walk you all through it so that you will be able to do this outside of myself, and you can continue to form these relationships with the music supervisors in the future. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So what are sync placements? If you do not know, this is your first time ever hearing the term sync placement, you're like, okay, Jasmine, what are you even talking about? Sync placements are anytime where you have any type of visual media content and you need music to accompany it. Whenever you add the music to that visual, that's called sync. That's a sync placement. So it gets its name from synchronization. So it's the act of taking two different types of media type, an audio type and your visual, putting it together to make one piece of content. And so that's what a sync for synchronization. That's what a sync placement is. So it's used in TV series, is used in film. So anytime we watch any type of TV or film, you obviously are going to hear that there's music playing in the background, or there's music going to be used in there some type of way. Whenever that music is used, that songwriter has been paid for that sync placement. So one of the beauties about sync placements is that unlike with streaming, you actually get to set the price of the sync placement. So, and if you guys know, if you guys are used to having music available on streaming platforms, and you have the payouts that come through your distributor like DistroKid and TuneCore, United Masters, so they'll give you the payout from those streaming platforms, and most of them, like Apple Music, on average, you get only about 1 cent per stream. And so, like, these numbers for these streaming platforms are based on how many users they have using the platform and how much those users are paying monthly. So for Apple, it's like $14.99, something like that. So when you're actually they're getting that estimation of 1 cent based on how many people are using the platform and paying that money, and then they're divvying it out on your streams. So if we all can do math, 1 cent compared to if you get a sync placement for 5,000, which one's more? Obviously, you want to go for the $5,000 opportunity. So with sync placement, you can actually set the price that you want to negotiate for them to be able to use your music. So for artists, independent artists, songwriters, I highly suggest going after indie films and then TV shows where your music can be used as like background use. So, fees for indie films can range anywhere from a few $100s to several $1,000s. So typically somewhere around $1,000 to 5,000. And for TV shows and background use, it can typically range from $1,000 to $5,000 as well. So those both of those are going to be really good for anyone who's an independent artist, an independent songwriter. You do not have to be an established artist to be able to have these kind of opportunities available to you. Now, if you are someone who, like a producer or engineer, you primarily make beats. Anyone who primarily makes beats themselves, so those beats are going to be best used for video games. I do suggest that you all submit for that because for video games, the fees can range from $5,000 to $15,000, particularly if the music plays like a significant role in the game's promotional materials or gameplay experience. So like if you're submitting for 2K and then your music is played in the background of like the games and stuff, like you might be on the lower end, but if you're actually used in like the advertisement in the commercial for 2K, then yeah, you're gonna negotiate more money for them. So definitely just something for you guys to think about. Is what sync placements are is just anytime that any of these these creators of visual content want to use your music in their visual content. So Netflix, they will have their Netflix series where they will actually reach out to they'll use independent artists and songwriters because it's cheaper to use their music than maybe some of the established artists, and that's actually an advantage that you all have. So just that's just kind of going over that and basically about how much more lucrative it is to have sync placements. So we want to just keep that in mind when we're talking about here. So the importance of sync placements, you guys see that money, 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 money. So yeah, so that's one of the main things as far as like what sync places really have to offer is that they are a wonderful source of like revenue generation. So sync placements offer a significant revenue stream through upfront fees and ongoing royalties. So you'll be able to negotiate that fee of like say you want your song to be used in Selling Sunset, and they have the a spot available for they're looking for something for more transitional scene music, or just more of that background music, then you can submit and possibly get a placement from like about $1,500. So getting that placed in there, that $1,500, if you were to try to do that with streaming, that would take a long time and a lot of strings before you can actually generate that same amount as opposed to having this one placement. So, and then depending on which your contract is with them, you may be able to also ask for some of those ongoing royalties. So, for example, if you get it placed in a film, but then the film later, a couple years comes on like USA on TV, then you may be able to get some of those royalties. But with some of the music supervisors may opt for you is that they'll negotiate. We won't give you any of the royalties, but we will give you a higher payout. So it's up to you whether or not you would want to accept anything like that. But that's just talking about how one way that is a great way to generate revenue. They do also provide like I said, much more the income that comes from sync placements are much higher than from streaming. Like I say, on average for Apple Music, you're gonna get paid about 1 cent per stream, but that same song can be used in a reality TV series for about $1,500. So, as far as how it can help you with your career development, um, the main thing about it is when you actually get a sync placement and it being used, like not only do you, okay, you get the money from that first upfront fee with them, but now a lot more people have been exposed to your music. So it definitely increases your exposure across different audiences and markets, and it can help you break into different areas, so different geographic segments that you may not have been able to really have a following in. So an example of this, I'm not sure if you guys watch Stranger Things, that comes on Netflix, but I love Stranger Things. And there was a very cool thing that happened with music when for the past season they used a song called "Running Up That Hill" by Kate Bush, and the use of that song, because it was set in, they used that song that came out in the 80s because the TV show itself is set back in the 80s. Now, this song has been out since the 80s, so 30 plus years. And we were coming up when they actually used it in the series, they the song then brought in it was over $2 million were just from streaming revenue alone after that song was featured in Stranger Things, because it had a very made, for those of you who haven't watched it, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but the song itself had a very major role, and it was played kind of like constantly throughout the series, throughout that specific season. And that song jumped, like I said, over $2 million in revenue. This song has been out since the 80s and now it generated over $2 million just from being featured on Stranger Things. So that's one of the powers that sync placements can have, when you're looking at how you can definitely capitalize off a sync placement after the sync placement is done. So as far as industry trends, we do also see different things like when when established artists do have sync placements, and it can really help them as well. I know another popular sync placement where the song itself was directly correlated to the film. There was a Netflix film, and oh gosh, it was called Someone. Now I can't think of the name, but it had that Lizzo song in it, and just the eruption of people who went to find Lizzo after seeing the film, and then also Lizzo fans wanted to run to watch the film because of the song and everything. Like it, both parties, both Netflix and Lizzo were able to generate a lot of money from that. So it's always going to be great to generate revenue. It's going to be great for your career development because you're going to be able to reach a lot more people that way that may have not been looking for you initially. And it's going to help for the industry just from being able to, once you are established, you can continue to use sync placements to give your fans a place to continue to interact with you by supporting you by going to watch certain shows or films where that placement is. So definitely some really great stuff. You guys really should be excited about sync placements now. Of course, everyone's excited about the money part. So I did put a chart here for you guys to kind of see. This is like when you're expecting payment for a sync placement, these are just kind of like ranges. Now, granted, these are ranges. They can go above this, but this is just typically what most placements tend to fall into. So, like I said, if you're an independent artist and you're looking at indie films to be able to get your stuff placed in, they do range from about $1,000 to $5,000, and this is really just depending on the budget of the film. So most indie films, it depends. If they have a smaller budget, you may be looking at that $1,000 range or a couple $100 range, depending on what their budget is. But if they do have a bit of a larger budget as an indie film, and the song's going to be used in a prominent way, then you can expect to get somewhere closer towards that $5,000 range. For major films, though, this is it's a jump. So because they have a much bigger budget, is not necessarily depending on what their budget is more so depending on what type of use the song is going to be. So if we are talking still just like background music here, then that's still going to be on the $10,000 for the lower range, and all upwards of $50,000, and can be more depending on how the song is used and how they want the song to be to be associated with the film. So an example like this was like when Black Panther first came out and Kendrick Lamar's song that was associated with the movie, like they having those kind of rights to use that song in the movie, they did have it to kind of keep it so that every time that you heard that song, Black Panther itself, the movie, was associated with it. So when they're doing this, they can't ask you for exclusive contracts where it's saying like you will still own the song, but by letting us use this in our film, you won't let anybody else use this for a sync placement where they can actually pay you more money so that you don't allow anybody else to use that, so they have exclusive rights so that they can be able to really have the song fully associated with what they're creating with the film. So that's just kind of giving you an overview for TV shows. It's kind of the same thing where it really just depends on how they're going to use it. That's going to determine how much money you're going to get paid. If it's background use, like I said, just this is just like trans transitional music. So if you actually have those scene transitions, so definitely reality TV, these are great for independent artists. A lot of artists tend to have their music featured in those ways when you're having like transitional scene going from somewhere to another area. And then if you do make beats, this is another area where it can be good, very promising for you as well, because depending on if it's the background music, they may just want the beat and not necessarily have anything with lyrics over it. So you'll already have plenty of songs to be able to send to them for that. So these are just some of those examples for those ranges, and also people do podcasts as well. So, like for podcasts, some of them people may tend to pay a little less because it's a podcast, but you can get anywhere from like $50 to $500 to be able to have someone licensed to use your music in their podcast. So that is another good place to start with as well. So if you guys have any questions, like about the chart or anything, of course you guys can reach out to me after this or on your one-on-one call, because remember, you guys do have your one-on-one call that is free with your membership. So please make sure that you are utilizing that so we can get all of your questions answered. All right, so for the examples of sync placements, these are just a couple of case studies. So this is just really talking about the power of sync placement. So I talked a little bit about Stranger Things and how they use Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, which, like I said, earned $2.3 million from streaming and making it the most streamed song in the world. So that article is there if you wanted to actually dive a little bit more into that. And then I did also provide another article talking about how other songs have had very um, successful, they've had very successful, oh my goodness, they've had successful sync placement, so like more people were able to discover the song. There we go, like revenue generation. There we go. They have very successful revenue generation from the sync placement following that. So if you guys want to take a look into that, both of those will be posted into the post where I'm doing for the Patreon, where this will be posted. I will have both of those links pasted into there as well, so you guys can take a look. All right. So just kind of understanding what we're doing here for the course. The whole purpose of this is for you guys to actually be able to ending with getting real life experience done. So for each one of these modules that we're doing here, there will be a lesson where we're going over the information like this, but then I will also include different resources like email templates for the music supervisors and different directories for different licensing opportunities. But the whole purpose of the course is to really create real world application. So as where you all as participants will actually be able to apply the knowledge that you guys got here by submitting your music to the music supervisors, receiving feedback, and also like refining your strategies of seeing where we have to actually rework anything. So by the end, you all will each have a portfolio that's ready for sync opportunities. You'll have experience in real life submissions, and you have expanded your professional network by being able to build a relationship with these music supervisors outside of myself. And so this will give you guys everything you need so that you can be able to continue to do this moving forward. You have all the tools to be able to do this where you don't have to necessarily keep running back to the program to do it. You'll have all the resources you need to continue to do the music submissions. And like I said, I will be walking you all through it one-on-one, and we will have group opportunities where we'll be able to submit music for different opportunities as well. All right, so just quickly going over some of the key terms and concepts that you all should really take your time to know. Each one of these are just really important for understanding how everything works in the sync industry. So the music industry itself is so vast, and we there's the business side of the industry that you absolutely have to understand to be successful, and the sync part of the industry just kind of falls into that with the business because it is so lucrative. So unfortunately, if you don't understand some of the terms, you may be leaving money on the table, or you may be negotiating something that you're not really aware of, and we never want to sign any contracts where we don't understand what we're signing. So that's why I wanted to go over some of these key terms for you all. You all will tend to see them in a lot of the sync contracts. So the first one is just the sync fee. So then why it's important, this is the initial income that you as an artist or the song holder will actually receive. So when they're giving you that upfront fee, this is the fee that you're going to be able to walk away with as soon as everything is done. For your master license, this is important because it controls the actual sound recording, which is separate from the song's composition. So when you're whenever you create a song, automatically there are two different types of copyrights that are created. There's your publishing, and then there's your masters. So for your publishing and your masters, the publishing is for the underlying composition and for the lyrics, and then the master recording is for the actual sound recording. So the recording artist is the one who is able to collect the royalties for the masters copyright, and the composers and the songwriters, the person who wrote the lyrics, are responsible for collecting the publishing copyright. So if it's a little confusing, we have to kind of like go all the way back to when the first song was actually invented, well, not first song ever invented, but how songs were usually done back then. So before all of this, when songs were actually just made with and the instruments, and you had the person who was singing, and you had somebody else writing the lyrics, they needed to make sure that everybody was getting paid. So the composers were the ones who actually played the instruments, hence, composers. And so they actually would get paid for their contribution to the song. The songwriter who wrote the lyrics would get paid to their contribution to the song. And then the person who was singing was usually not the songwriter or the person who was one of the composers, so they had to actually get paid for the song as well. So this is where that's where the structure came from, where they had two different sides, one where the lyricist or the songwriter, and the composers, or in today we say the people who make the beat, the producers, get the publishing copyright. And then for the master recording, it tends to go to the recording artist or the record label. So that's just giving you guys a little bit of background of how that actually works. So with your publishing rights, like I said, it's important because the publishing rights dictate how a song's composition is used and earns royalties separately from the master recording. For your performance royalties, now performance royalties, this is a continuous revenue stream following the initial placement. So just like how you have performance royalties of your song that you're going to be collecting from your performance rights organization, You also have digital performance royalties that you'll be collecting from Sound Exchange. Whenever this movie is played, like if you get your song placed in a movie and it's played later on like USA or MTV or something, then that if it's in your contract for you to get a part of those royalties for having your song in there, then you will. But if you have negotiated that you will accept a higher sync fee and not reap any of the royalties, then you won't reap any of those royalties. It's completely up to you. It's your decision in what you want to do with this. So the person who you would actually be negotiating all of this with is the music supervisor. So they are the person who has actually been assigned to select the music, all of the music for the scenes, for the visual scenes. So they receive the scenes. Of course, it's just the scene. Is no music in the background, and it's their job to pair it with the perfect music to create a specific emotional response that usually the directors are looking for. So, for example, if you have a scene where there's a couple that had just broken up, but now they see each other later in the rain, and they're running towards each other, and then they're kissing in the rain, then they need some music to accompany that to give you the emotion that they're looking for. So they want to get you the emotion that gets you like, oh my gosh, oh, this is love. Like they want that. So they're going to be looking for very specific types of music. Um, Also, like that's just one example of a scene. Like if it's a celebratory scene, like a graduation, everyone's throwing their caps up in the air. They want to have the type of music that is going to make whoever the consumer is that is watching the film or the TV show get the type of emotional response that they're looking for. So why the music supervisor is so important is this is literally their job to choose the music that's going to be a best fit for this. So whenever we're going to be reaching out to the music supervisors, we're going to make sure that we're doing things like researching the type of work that they've done, and the type of placements that they've chosen in the past, so we can understand if the music we have will be a good fit for how they've worked with similar projects in the past. Because if you can make those connections for them, then they don't have to think about how your music will be able, you're not making them do the extra work of thinking how your music will be a good fit. You're telling them this is exactly why my music will be a good fit for this, and that's something that's going to set you apart from all the emails that they're getting on the daily. So with that, another thing that is very important to music supervisors is clearance. So clearance is important because it ensures that there are no legal issues when using the track in the media, because they can be sued and they don't have time for that. So whenever you have a sample, like any type of musical sample, like if you want to use something from, I don't know, like a Jay-Z song or something, then you will have to actually get clearance to be able to use it. So when you are submitting for clearance, you're letting them know like, hey, this is the sample that I'm using from this piece, and I want to be able to use it to generate income. If they don't give you the clearance, you cannot use it. And when you typically they if they do give you the clearance, they want a percentage of what you're doing, and they will give you the terms. So like if they say, okay, well, if you're going to use this, we want 40% of the income that comes from this song, and within their right because it's a sample. So one of the things that music supervisors need to have if there's a sample is clearance. However, because it is so costly for if the person didn't actually have clearance and they just say, oh, I have clearance, they won't they tend to not use songs that have samples unless it's already from a established artist. So like let's say an established artist does a song where they use a sample, and their team has already got the clearance, they may use it, but they tend to try to stay away from samples and want to stick to original music, because there's that's something that original music will never have to hold up production because of legal issues. So that's something that music supervisors can lose their jobs over. So that's why clearance is important. And then the last thing I want to talk about is exclusive visit. Ooh, being exclusive to exclusivity. Oh my gosh, guys, I don't know. It's been a long day. Exclusive. Oh my goodness. Exclusivity. There we go. Don't judge me. So this is literally when you have your exclusive your exclusive rights to use this song. So this is when you'll still own the song, but the supervisor may ask for exclusive rights to use the song. So what that means is even though you own the song, you are making a contract with them that you will not submit this song for any other placements to be used for anything else or any other types of projects except for this specific project, this specific seeing how they want to use it. So usually that happens when they want to create a connection between your musical piece and their project itself. So with that, those tend to come with higher fees, so they will pay you more because they know you can't. They're asking you not to submit to anywhere else, but it's up to you to be able to ask for more in exchange for the exclusive rights. So that's where it really comes down to you. If you feel like, okay, like I said, like I'm not really that attached to this specific piece. Right now, I actually we just want to have this placement more than I care whether or not it's exclusive. So you be like, whatever, just here's my fee for that. You can do that, or you can, like I said, raise the price that you want to do it for, and to be able to get your money for it being exclusive. So it is completely up to you. That is one of the beautiful, beautiful things about sync placements is not only are they lucrative, but you get to set your price. So it's just definitely some things that you guys should take into account when you're submitting for placements is whether or not if you do get offered an exclusive placement, whether or not you're going to take that. All right. So within the post for this course, I also will have the sync placement worksheet. So the sync placement worksheet, you will actually be able to go through and through your inventory of what songs that you have that you would like to submit for sync placements. And we're going to help find different TV shows that you feel that they would go perfectly with. What kind of scenes do you think that they would go good with? Is your song perfect for a party scene that was in I don't know, Love and Hip Hop? Would it be perfectly for a romantic car riding scene off of something that would have been in Teen Wolf? I don't know. It's going to be completely up to you for where you see your song being a perfect match for. But the more that you see your music being perfectly within that specific scene, that can help us narrow down to who you're going to actually submit the music to. So when we're once we have that done and we have the list of TV shows you would want to submit to each song to, then we're going to have to go look at who are the music supervisors for these shows. And once we have that, then we're going to have to actually look at their past projects to see what kind of work have they done typically in the past, and what kind of songs have they used in shows similar to this. So then that way you know how you can suggest your song to be used in the project. So the key here is we want to take the work off the music supervisor because they already have a lot on their plate by actually setting your song as a perfect possible scene to be able to use in this situation for whatever they're looking for. And so the sync placement worksheet is going to help with that. The email template that we have for music supervisors is going to help with that as well. Once we have the information from from the sync placement worksheet, we can put that into the email template that we have for our music supervisors, and then we can actually email that to the music supervisors, depending on if we have them in our free contact list that is available, or if they're in the contact list that I have already. And so then we can actually be able to reach out to them and submit that information with your music so that they can actually see how it will be able to fit into their project. So like I said, guys, the goal of this is for you all to end this course with your music actually submitted to music supervisors where you can continue to do this and build relationships with them outside of this course. So, very, very exciting stuff. Once again, like if you guys have any questions or anything, please make sure that you are setting up your one-on-one phone consultation. If you are a member, if you're watching this video, that means you're a member. For all of our Supreme Talent Patreon members, your one-on-one consultation is absolutely free, where we can go through and see where you are with the submission process, what we need to work on, so that we can go ahead and get your music submitted to these music supervisors. Guys, this is one of the things, I know you guys take this seriously as part of your careers, and I do as well. So I want to be able to help you all, but the only thing that I can do to help you, I still need your participation in this for us to be able to get things done. So I'm very excited for the next part of the course. Woo, woo, woo. So make sure that you reach out to me. My phone number is right here so that we can go ahead and get you set up with your consultation. Make sure that you're doing the sync placement worksheet so then we can move on to the next phase. All right. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all so much for being Supreme Talent members, and let me know if you have any questions.